Investing in your personal name is probably the easiest entity or structure to understand. It's really when you as an individual go and sign for an OTP, you put your ID number and you become the owner and the landlord. The only problem with your personal name is that all the liability sits with you. And the second thing is that it's not tax efficient as you start to grow your income. It's very tax efficient when you're earning little, and as you earn more, you pay more in tax. In this quick education, I'm going to share with you the pros and cons of starting with this style.
I educate people to reach financial freedom through property through cash flow positive investments, specializing in the low income multi-let residential market.
Starting with the first pro, it's easy to set up. I mean, you don't really need to get an accountant. You don't need to get any legal papers. You just have your ID book, and when you go and sign for an offer to purchase, you put your name and your details. It's also quick and cheap. You don't have to set up anything, and it's easy to finance. Banks have a much higher appetite to lend to an individual who's got a good salary, who's got a paycheck, who's been employed for a long time. They more likely give them a 90 or 100% loan to value, especially or specifically when buying in the residential space. So starting with your personal name makes sense, but the issues are that you have full liability and there are higher tax implications than if you were to go with a company, for example. And it's all about, your personal surety. So anything you own in your personal name can be attached and can be taken if you were to default. So it's quite a high risk strategy. Me personally, I don't have a lot of property in my personal name. It's only when I get good finance because of it. Some of the student deals that we do in Cape Town, we sometimes buy in our personal name because we can get 100% finance, and the cost of doing the deal is very little. But for all of my commercial stuff, or anytime I bring on a partner or we're doing a block of flats or an apartment block, it's always in a company. I don't want to have too much on my personal name. I want to be quite poor in my personal name, but wealthy in my companies and in my trust. What's the setup process? Like I said, very simple. You just need an ID and you can start buying. You obviously want to check your credit score. So go to clearscore.com and see what your credit score is. Credit score is really a gauge of how risky the bank is going to value you at. So if you've got a very low credit score, that means that you're not paying debt on time. You're a high risk candidate. So when the bank looks at you, they're going to say, I'm going to give you prime plus 3%, or I'm going to get you a lower loan to value because you're a high risk candidate. So fix your credit score, be good credit, get good credit worthiness because the banks look at that, and then go look at your affordability. I like to use the Property 24 calculator, their affordability calculator. You put in your income, expenses, it tells you what size loan you can apply for. Now you know where you can start. You can start buying your first flip because you have access to R1 million in affordability. Bank finance is why you want to do the personal name, because you just get really good rates. What are the property taxes applicable in your personal name? So of our four, VAT, income tax, transfer duty, and capital gains, there's only one that's not included, and that is VAT. This is a non-VAT scenario. So income tax, transfer duty, and capital gains, let's go through the detail. Firstly, income tax, which is the tax of your normal income that gets paid to you, so like your salary. This is the sliding scale that SARS has on their website. Please go and look at the updated numbers on SARS. Here are the 2023 numbers, well, at least until the 28th of February 2023, these are the numbers. So you can see on the left, you've got your taxable income. Where's your bracket, your salary that you're currently earning? Where do you fit in here? And then you see on the right how you can then work out your effective tax rate. So if you're a lower earner under 226, you're only paying 18% of your taxable income. Right at the bottom, you're paying 45% plus. So the greater your earnings, the higher your tax. So I don't really want to have too many more student houses in my personal name, because as I start to increase that, I start to get down into the 45%. So my goal is to buy my personal name, to have good finance for the first 3 to 5 years, then to sell it into my company name so that I can get the tax efficiency. Obviously, then I'd have to factor in that I'm going to be transferring it from my personal to my company, which means there's going to be transfer duties and capital gains tax if I'm buying it for higher than what my base cost is. So these are the numbers. You got to work out what yours is, and this is why it's unattractive to invest in your personal name, because the more you earn, the more you end up paying in taxes. Transfer duty. Next one. Transfer duty is levied on the value of any property acquired in a transaction. So anytime that there's a sale of a property from an individual to a company or any sort of version of that, SARS wants their piece. So in your personal name, here are the numbers for 2023, or at least until Feb 2023. As you can see, 1 to 1 million is 0. So when the developer says, hey man, buy this development because there's transfer duties included in the sale, and the sale is less than $1 million, you can see that that is just marketing speak, because there is no payable tax on a transfer of less than R1 million. And then obviously as the transfers go higher, your value goes higher. I like to use an app called Uber. There's the link for you. You can just pop it into your URL. You can put in your numbers, you can choose the entity that you're going to be purchasing, and it will tell you what your bond registration, but also transfer costs are, and your transfer duties specifically. Lastly, we've got capital gains. So this is the tax that is payable when you make a profit. So when you sell for more than you buy it for. So you've got your 3 entities, your individuals, your companies and trusts. Obviously, we're looking here at the individuals. So your individual rate is 18%. That's the effective rate of your capital gain. 18%, which is probably going to be the lowest of the 3 entities. So there's a bit of a saving there. Sometimes people aren't sure when a capital gain is applicable, so go check out SARS's website. 2 things I do want to make note of. Number 1, your first primary residence purchase, you get a massive tax benefit being in your personal name. You can buy it and make 2 million rand worth of capital gain, and that 2 million rand is tax-free for your first and primary residence. So if you do want to do a flip, buy your first house in your personal name, renovate it, live in it, whatever your strategy is, and then after you sell it, you are going to pay no tax under 2 million rand worth of profit, which is lovely. And then you also get an annual exclusion of 40,000 rand capital gain to individuals and special trusts, but your effective rate is still 18%. So when would I recommend this structure? Right, it's when you're buying your first primary residence and you want to get that nice 2 million rand, free capital gains tax. That's the only time. So when you're starting out your first residence, yeah, buy it in your personal name, that's fine. But it's not attractive for scaling because you have full liability and your tax implications. As you take on more, you start to pay more. So it doesn't make any sense. And you've got, your personal surety. All in all, I would say personal name is good when you're starting out, but definitely go towards your company or your trust because the other benefits, the pros and cons of those entities outweigh your personal.
I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe. Also, please go and check out my books. They're available here or at any exclusive books nationwide.